At Vertex, we know the pace of global commerce is increasing, which makes managing tax more complex. And your enterprise systems weren't built to handle that tax complexity. This is where we come in, with our platform that enables continuous compliance, giving you more transparency, improved accuracy, and better confidence in your tax data. To learn more about continuous compliance, visit vertexinc.com.
The Two-Footed Podcast is brought to you by EPLindex.com and our presenting sponsor, Liberty Shield. Liberty Shield is a VPN provider. A virtual privacy network allows you to go online, change your location, access things you're geo-blocked from, while keeping your data safe. So, as an example, if you are a UK expat and want access to BBC iPlayer to watch Match of the Day, or ITV Hub, or all four, will you get that message that says this content is not available in your location? A Liberty Shield VPN gets you around that block, allows you to watch whatever you want on those services, while also keeping your data safe. And it goes further than that. It allows you to open up Netflix's entire library by just changing your IP address. Liberty Shield is the #1 rated VPN provider on Trustpilot with 5-star ratings across the board. So go to libertyshield.com right now, use the code EPL25 and get either the hardware package or the software package. The hardware package is a router that you plug into your existing router, and any item you want to change the IP address on, be it your phone or your television, you connect that to the new Liberty Shield router. All other items can remain connected to your existing router. There's also a software package, which is instantly downloadable to your device, and you can get using straight away. Again, libertyshield.com, EPL25 for 25% off at checkout. We're also brought to you by Home of Hopcroft, a giftware and homeware company located in Scotland but shipping worldwide. Check out homeofhopcroft.co.uk and do check out the EPL Index and Anfield Index shops, which you'll find on Etsy. Use the codes EPL10 or RED10 for 10% off at checkout. And lastly, do remember to check out A Tad Predictable, hosted by Tadiwa. That podcast is on this feed before every Premier League match week. And then the EPL Roundtable, hosted by Kevin DeVries, on its own EPL Roundtable feed. So just search EPL Roundtable in your podcast device. And that's out after every match week. Now, on with the show. What's good, boys and girls? Two-Footed Podcast. Today is Thursday. It is the 27th of June. Hope you're all well and having yourselves a pleasant day. The weather has taken a turn for the worst. It has rained pretty much non-stop all day. So, let's get into it. Ukraine 0, Belgium 0 yesterday in the final day of group matches at Euro 2024. For a 0-0 draw, it actually wasn't a bad game. Both sides were trying to win the game. Ukraine obviously had a bit more riding on it because they were sitting bottom of the group and needed either them to win or the other game to end in a draw. As it turned out, the other game did end in a draw, but they couldn't find... the other game to end in a win. They either needed to win or they needed Slovakia, Romania to end with one side beating the other, so they would end up in third and they would have qualified. They're the first team ever to go out with 4 points and can feel a little bit disappointed, but at the end of the day, they've gone out because of their goal difference, because they were heavily beaten by Romania in the first game. Belgium, I think it's fair to say, very underwhelming in the group phase. They're going to have to book their ideas up for the knockouts. Slovakia won, Romania won in the other game in that group. Duda put Slovakia 1-0 up on 24 minutes. Marin equalised from the penalty spot on 37. Slovakia probably slightly the better team on the day, but I feel over the balance of the three games, Romania deserved to go through. Whether they deserve to go through as group winners, I don't think so. But that's how it's played out. All four teams finishing on 4 points. Romania topped the group. Belgium second, and Slovakia third. All three of them go through. Ukraine go home. In the final group then, Group F, we had our two games. Czech Republic, or Czechia, 1, Turkey 2. Now, Antonin Barak gets himself sent off on 20 minutes for 2 bookable offences. And that obviously puts his team well onto the back foot. Çalhanoğlu scores on 51 to put the Turks ahead. Really nice finish from Çalhanoğlu. Souček equalises on 66. And the Czechs, they're being brave. They're a man down, but they're trying to counter. They're trying to go and win the game. But ultimately, they just get caught, commit too many players forward. Players are tired getting back into position. Cenk Tosun picks the ball up. And it is just tired defenders in front of him as he slips inside and fires the shot away. To win the game for Turkey, Chori was sent off, so Czechia finished the game with 9 men, and that ends their run in the competition. But for the Turks, it ensures second place for them. But this group also gives us a third place qualifier. Now, it looked before these games like Hungary was going to hold on, finish as the 4th of the third place qualifiers, and take that last slot in the knockout phases. But somebody didn't share the script with Georgia, and 2 minutes in, Vicha Kvaratskhelia is sent free on the left. He finishes really well to give Georgia the lead. In the second half, Mikatadze scores the penalty. A little bit of controversy about it because the ref didn't give it. It was given by VAR. Dale Johnson said there's no way that penalty would be given in the Premier League. And when it was pointed out to him that that's because the PGMOL are incompetent, he seemed confused by that. It definitely seemed a penalty to me. Mikatadze stepped up and scored. Portugal had changed their starting 11 heavily. They brought in Diogo Costa, Antonio Silva, Danilo Pereira, and Inacio played as a back three. Dalot and Neto played as kind of wing backs. João Neves and Paulinho as a double pivot, and then Conceição and João Felix behind Cristiano, who you'd have to imagine insisted on playing in the hope that he might score a goal, rather than because he felt the team would need him. I'm delighted for Georgia. I did say before the tournament that I thought we'd see at least one team that nobody was expecting earn a spot in the knockouts. I think we've actually gotten at least 2, you could argue 3. Georgia for certain are 1. I think Slovenia for certain are another. And I think you can make a strong case that Slovakia. But with that group, where it appeared like it was kind of Belgium and then one of the other 3, I'm not sure it's as much of a surprise that they've gone through. I think the big surprise going out is obviously Croatia. So how we end up is Group A, Germany and Switzerland are through, Hungary miss out, and Scotland are gone. Group B, Spain and Italy are through, Croatia and Albania go home. Group C, England, Denmark and Slovenia go through, Serbia go home. Group D, Austria, France and the Netherlands. And the Austrian group topping is as big a surprise as anything. Poland go home. Romania top Group E. I think that's also an upset. Belgium were really poor though. But Romania top, Belgium second, Slovakia third, and Ukraine very unfortunate to be eliminated when you consider that Slovenia are going through on less points than them. Slovenia finished with 3 points. Ukraine finished with 4 points. Slovenia didn't win a game. They drew all 3. Ukraine did win a game. And then finally, Portugal, Turkey, and Georgia go through, and the Czechs bow out. So, our ranking of the third place teams, Netherlands finish at top of that, then Georgia, then Slovakia, then Slovenia. Hungary miss out by goal difference, and Croatia miss out by a point, so they are not to be considered. But we are set with our bracket for the round of 16. Spain against Georgia, you'd have to fancy Spain. Germany against Denmark, Germany will be heavily fancied. The winner of those 2 games will play each other. Then it's Portugal versus Slovenia and France versus Belgium. And the winner of those 2 games will play each other. And that's the top half of the bracket. So if I was to predict right now, I would say Spain, Georgia, Portugal, and France. Then I think I would pick Germany to beat Spain. I would pick France to beat Portugal, which gives us Germany versus France in semi-final 1. Then in the bottom half, and I think I would pick France. Even though Germany have been better, I think I'll pick France to advance to the final. In the bottom half of the draw then, Romania against the Netherlands, Austria against Turkey, and the winners of those would face each other. And then England, Slovakia. So England were set to get the Netherlands and instead end up with Slovakia. And Switzerland versus Italy, and obviously then the winners of those play each other. So I'm going to say Netherlands, Austria, England, and Italy to come out of the round of 16. Then I think I'll back the Netherlands to beat Austria if they have to play again. And I don't know why, but I think Italy will beat England. I just think England are playing so poorly right now. So I'm going to go for a Netherlands-Italy semi-final, which gives me Italy coming through, which gives me France against Italy in the final, which is a repeat of the 2000 final. The bottom side of that draft, of that bracket rather, is so much weaker from the top half. Like the 4 best teams in the competition, I would say right now, are Spain, Germany, Portugal, and France. And they're all in the top half. So fortunately for England, Italy, the Netherlands, or Austria, whichever one of them gets to the final, they're only going to have to beat one of the other sides. Whereas those other teams are going to have to win at least 2 games against those other teams. And for France, like, Belgium won't be a pushover. But yeah, I think I'll go... France, Italy in the final, but Germany are the one that I feel like Germany are the team that could upset that. Then it could be Spain. You just don't know. There's no great team in this competition, and it has gotten dull. Like, the last round of group games was not good. There was a couple of good matches in there, but by and large, it was not good. We're going to go to the Copa America now and catch up with yesterday's action. In the first game, Ecuador beat Jamaica 3-1. Casey Palmer own goal. Then a Kendry Paez penalty. Mikel Antonio pulled one back, but Alan Minda scored in the 91st minute to give Ecuador a 3-1 victory. And then Venezuela beating Mexico by 1-0. That's an upset. They've upset both Ecuador and Mexico. Now, Solomon Rondon with a penalty, the only goal of the game. So, what that means is that Venezuela will be in the knockout phase. And the Ecuador-Mexico game is now everything. Ecuador, I think a draw will send them through because they have the better goal difference. They've scored more goals. So I think a draw will guarantee them their spot. But you don't want to be dependent on a draw. Yeah, so Argentina and Venezuela have now qualified. Tonight in the Copa, we have 2 games. It is Panama versus the USA. That's the 11 o'clock kickoff. And then Uruguay, Bolivia at 2 a.m. I said I wasn't going to sit up and watch Venezuela, Mexico. And then I did because the NBA draft was going on. And the Timberwolves, most of you won't care about this, but it's important to me. The Timberwolves had picked 27 because they were really good this past year. And if you don't know, basically the best teams get the worst picks in the draft, and the worst teams get the best picks. Try and create parity. But the Timberwolves traded 2 future picks, well, a future pick and a future pick swap, to move back into the draft at number 8 and took Rob Dillingham, who's a really exciting young point guard from Kentucky, and then kept the 27th pick. So I wasn't really going to watch it, and then they did the first deal, and I was like, oh, well, I have to watch now. And then I was like, right, well, I'll just turn it off, I'll go to bed. But then I wanted to see who they were going to draft with the 27th pick, because all of a sudden that became very, very important to me. And to be fair, I'm glad I did, because I quite like what they've done here. I really like the Dillingham pick. And then I think the pick of Terrence Shannon Jr. out of Illinois is interesting because I think he's ready to play immediately at 23. He's an older player to be drafted. And again, none of you care about any of that, but I do. I'll also be watching the draft tonight because the Wolves are picking at number 37, and there's still some really good players left, some players that many people expected to go in the first round. So I'm going to watch at least the first 7 picks of the second round in the hope that the Wolves get another good player as we load up to take a run at the title for next season. Right, I'll go to break, and when we come back, we're going to do a couple of listeners' questions. See you after this. Right, welcome back. So, we have some questions off the Discord. Brian Javi, your thoughts on new Sporting centre-back Zino Zabas? I think he's really, really good. And I think, assuming you keep both Diamonde and Inacio this summer, now you may lose Inacio, I think that's the more likely one of the two. I think that could be an absolutely outrageous back 3. I think Zabast fits so well on the right-hand side of a back 3. Diamonde in the middle, Inacio on the left. Strong ball playing from all 3 of them. Decent physicality with Zabast and Diamonde. Zabast's not the most physical, but he's aggressive, he's front-footed, he's got decent size. I think that's a really, really good get. You haven't paid huge money for him. He's someone that's been playing for Anderlecht now for 3 years, already got himself 9 caps at international level and still only 20 years of age. So, yeah, for me, he ticks all the boxes. I think Sporting have done really, really well. Fact 1977, Group C finished with 1 win, 1 loss and 10 draws, with nobody scoring more than 1 goal in any match, and the 2 0-0 draws on the final day. Do you ever remember a group stage that was as milquetoast as this one? That's tough. Like, yeah, it's... Do you know what? Let's actually go back and do this factually, because I I do struggle to think of a group that was as muck as this one, to be honest. Now, obviously, for the first bunch of Euros up until 1980, we only had 4 teams. There were no group stages. In 1980, then, we had 2 groups. And to be fair, both more exciting than this one. Many games won, many games lost. 1984 then, which I think is a tremendous tournament. Group 1 definitely a lot better than this. Group 2 was definitely better than this as well. 88 was a good Euros too, so there's no way either of the groups were as bad as this. Again, plenty of wins. 92 was a very good Euros. You could maybe make a slight case that Group 1 was a little bit underwhelming, but that's largely because people thought that France and England were going to cruise through the group, and both of them went out, and Sweden and Denmark went on. And Group 2 was pretty solid. That CIS team, which is what was playing the Commonwealth of Independent States, which was playing instead of the USSR after the Soviet Union had fallen apart. That was an interesting team, and that was just a better competition. 96, we had 4 groups. Group A was pretty good. Group B was pretty good. Group C was interesting. Group D was very interesting. So no. 2000. Definitely taking Group A over what we saw. Definitely taking Group B over what we saw. And I'll take Group C and D as well, to be completely honest. 04, the knockouts weren't great, but the group stages were pretty decent. Pretty decent. They're not elite level. I mean, Group C, you could make a case. Bulgaria lost all 3 games, and then Sweden, Denmark, and Italy just drew against each other. So you could make a case for it. But I still think it was probably better than this one. And then Group D was interesting, and Latvia were in it, which was, really exciting for them. And I think overall, because it was a really good Czech team as well, it was just ultimately better. 2008, which was in Austria and Switzerland. No, Group A was better. Funny though, we had Portugal, Turkey, and Czech Republic in that group as well. We just had Switzerland instead of Georgia, as we had this time. But it was pretty good, better than this. As was B, as was C, as was D. Which brings us up as far as 2012. 2012, obviously the Spanish won. It was Poland, Ukraine. Group D was fairly poor, but England and France were both decent teams. Group C was really fun, even though Ireland lost all 3 games. Group B was good, and Group A was really strong. So that puts us 2016. No, there's no groups there. There's none that I can think of now in 2020. Well, 2021 that stand out to me as having been as dull as this England one. And could make a case for Group A? No, probably not, because at least there's a really strong team in there. I would say Group B was very competitive. Belgium stood above the rest, but Denmark, Finland, and Russia were all quite evenly matched, and everybody won a game. Group C, No, again, better in Group D. Group D was, again, it was the England group. It wasn't great, but there was games with more than one goal scored. There was also 4 games that were won. So, yeah, we'll take that one. Right, let's go. Let's check World Cup and see. I won't do Copa America because I'll just do World Cups. We'll start in 58, and the immediate answer there is no. We'll go 60, because 58, I'm not overly familiar with all the games. I've seen most of them. Some of them just seem to be impossible to find. But 62, definitely not in the group stage. Those were good group stages back then in the World Cup. 66, I'm thinking no. Yeah, nobody there. 70, two good teams. No. No, nobody at 70 either. 74? No, there just isn't. There just isn't. There hasn't been one that's been as just weirdly dull as what we've just witnessed in the England group. Like, it would have just been better and funnier if England and Serbia had drawn. If they'd just drawn 1-1, it just would have been funnier. Everybody finishing on the same number of goals scored, same number of goals conceded, same number of points, same goal difference, the whole job lot. And then we would have, I think it would have been penalty shootouts to decide who went through. I think that's how it was going to function. 78 World Cup, definitely not. I'm actually rewatching that at the moment, so no, definitely not. I'm not finished the group stages, but I've paused it for the Euros, but no, definitely not. Same with 82. 82 is a tremendous World Cup. Group stages were exciting. 86, the group stages were very, very good. So it'll be a no there. 90. No, I don't think so. I mean, if Cameroon and the Soviets draw... No, because that was the game that Cameroon and the Soviets won. The Soviets lost the first 2 games. Cameroon won the... To be fair, Group B was a bit... It was just weird. It was just weird. But it was better than this. It was better than this. So was C. So was D. And E. And F. They were all better. Now, to be fair, actually, here we go. This is the one. This is the one. This is the exact same group. The 1990 Group F. England, Ireland, Netherlands, and Egypt. England draw 1-1 with Ireland. Netherlands draw 1-1 with Egypt. England draw 0-0 with Netherlands. Ireland draw 0-0 with Egypt. England beat Egypt 1-0. Ireland draw 1-1 with the Netherlands. It's the same group. You just swap Egypt out for the Serbs, Ireland or Denmark, and the Netherlands or Slovenia. It's exactly the same. England played 3, 1-1, drew 2, lost none, scored twice, conceded once, plus 1 goal difference. 4 points. Ireland played 3, lost 0, drew 3, lost 0, goals scored 2, goals against 2, the goal difference 0, 3 points. Netherlands exactly the same. And then Egypt played 3, 1-0, 1-0, drew 2, lost 1, scored once, conceded twice, -1 goal difference of 1 point. It's the same fucking group. So there we go. It's England again. Ruining it for everybody. Taking away all the fun for everybody. 1990 World Cup Group F will, just for the purposes of being complete, will carry on and see. But I'm betting we're not coming back to anything as bad as that. No. We did, though, have a repeat of the group in which Romania topped, Belgium finished second, and Ukraine went out despite getting the same number of points as everybody else. In Group E in 94, and once again the Irish are involved, everybody wins one, draws one, and loses one. Norway finished bottom despite only conceding 1 goal in the group stage, but they only scored 1 goal, unfortunately for them. They finish with 4 points but go out. So there's that. 98. No, 98 is fine. So we had expanded to too many teams at that point, but nonetheless. 2002. No, at least we have a standout team in pretty much every group here. So, no. 06. No, we're getting more wins and more goals across the board. 2010. Okay, that's all clear. 2014. No, nobody in 2014. Don't think there was any group in 2018 or 22, but just to be certain, we will check. No, and no. 2018 is cleared. And then lastly, 2022. No. Now, look, I'm not going to check AFCON. I'm not going to check the Asian Cup. I'm not going to check the Copa. But best as I can see, the only other time that we've had a group. Now, I've gone back to 80 with the Euros, because that's when we started to have groups, and I went back to 58 with the World Cups. That's a pretty extensive check, and the only one that I can find that is the same, is as bad, is Group F of the 1990 World Cup. But what I will say about that is there was at least some drama and excitement in a couple of the games. Now, that might be my Irish bias hinting that. Ireland-Egypt was a horrifyingly boring game. But Ireland-England was a pretty good game. England-Netherlands, despite being in 0-0, was a pretty decent game. And Ireland-Netherlands was a decent game. Even though they both sort of accepted the draw. So yeah, that's what I'm going to go with. Is that it's all England's fault. Last question then is from Isaac. Who has been the best individual player of the group stages, and who had the single best performance if they're not the same? I would say the best player has been Toni Kroos. I think he has been absolutely magnificent thus far. I just think he's been sensational. In terms of the best individual performance so far, Nico Williams against Italy, certainly the first 55 minutes or so, very, very impressive. Marin, Razvan Marin in the Romania-Ukraine game, I thought was brilliant. Yeoman in the Denmark-England game just took control of the midfield, played Declan Rice off the park. I think he's absolutely worthy of a mention. You know, I'll go with him. That performance for Denmark against England, scoring the goal, I think that's just brilliant. So I'll go for him, but Toni Kroos, to me, the best player in the group stage thus far. Yeah, there we go. Back after the break. Right, welcome back. So, really good story on the BBC website, worth reading, by Adam Millington. It is about Georgia and how the qualification for the knockout phases and their win over Portugal is such a big deal. So check that one out. The game between Turkey and the Czech Republic broke a record for the most yellow cards shown in a European Championship game, so congrats to both of them for that. A former Prime Minister of Georgia has pledged to give $8.4 million to the nation's football team after they beat Portugal at the Euros. That is pretty incredible. Yeah, he's going to split it between the squad and the coaching staff. He's got himself an enormous fortune of nearly $4 billion, so he won't be going hungry or anything, but yeah, fair play to him. Lucy Bronze is to leave Barcelona when her contract ends on June 30th. No word yet as to where she will go. I have seen her linked to Arsenal, though. And we have an end of an era in Madrid as Nacho officially leaves and joins El Quadzia. 23 years he's been at the club. He's 34 years of age. I'm surprised he's left. I thought he would go one more year and then go, but he's made the decision, so fair play to him. Moving on to the gossip then. Chelsea have inquired about Alexander Isak, but would have to pay more than 115 million to sign the Swedish striker. I would imagine it would cost even more than that, to be honest. Newcastle are reluctant to see Isak leave and would rather sell Callum Wilson. Bayern Munich are set to move for Amadou Onana after becoming frustrated in their efforts to sign João Palhinha. I think that makes sense. I really do think that makes sense. I think they're better off. If the money is similar, I think you're better off signing Onana. Given what else you're doing, building around the likes of Musiala, and now only saying you're trying to bring in Xavi Simons, I think building around that young core is the right move. Barcelona are interested in Julian Alvarez, but they have no money. The Saudi PIF have made an approach for Arsenal's Thomas Partey. That's a lie, because the PIF don't make approaches for anybody. And I don't know who Farrell Keeling is, but you're right for caught offside, so my natural inclination is just to say spoofer. Atalanta have made a £10 million bid for Ben Godfrey, while an unnamed club has offered $15 million. That's convenient that there's an unnamed club who've offered $5 million more than the only bid you actually have. Manchester United are considering selling the naming rights to Old Trafford to help raise funds. Well, Everton are close to signing Wilfred Ndidi on a free contract. Maybe, maybe not. Yankuba Minta has rejected the move to Lyon despite the French club agreeing a 40 million fee for him. I just think Newcastle are much better off keeping him anyway. Brighton are interested in Inter Miami's 19-year-old Paraguayan midfielder Diego Gomez. He does look a player, to be fair. He does look a player. And they've already got one Paraguayan star there in Enciso, so it would make the transition a bit easier if he made that move. Crystal Palace are working on a deal to sign Job Bellingham. I mean, look, they've had success buying players from the Championship, so yeah, I don't think he's ready for the Premier League, but I could see the logic. They're also looking at Antonio Nusa and apparently Matthias Sula as well. Ipswich are in talks with Hull over a move for Jacob Greaves. That would be a great signing for them. Manchester United are targeting Bayern Munich's 23-year-old German goalkeeper Maria Luisa Gross as a replacement for Mary Earps, who is set to join PSG. Al Hilal are weighing up a surprise move for Alejandro Garnacho. No, they're not. Shaquille O'Neal is in talks about buying a stake in West Ham. I'd have doubts. And Arsenal are set to miss out on Serhou Guirassy, who is keen to join Borussia Dortmund. Okay, so there we go. That's all the gossip. That's the news. I'll see you tomorrow. No Euro games today. So we can all just relax and enjoy a day off. We do have Copa games tonight, which is, I think, very exciting. And as I said, they're pretty good games to keep everybody occupied. Then we get the Euros back in action on Saturday. So no games today or tomorrow. Back in action on Saturday, then Sunday, Monday, Tuesday. And then we have another 2 days off before the quarterfinals. Then 2 days off before the semi-finals. And then 3 days off before the final. Right. See you tomorrow. Take care. Bye-bye.
Sports Social Podcast Network.